Hey guys, welcome back to the Daily Defender. Glad to be with everybody again today. Glad you're here. Glad we're back getting another video out to you. I know we had a little bit of a gap there a few weeks before we got this video out, but we have a lot of good things happening behind the scenes. And actually, I wasn't really sure which firearm to bring to you guys next and talk to you guys about next, because that's kind of the fun of the channel, is to kind of talk through these firearms. And of course, great comments as always. You guys have been giving some great comments recently, back to some HK videos and a revolver video. All some really good comments. Certainly, first, a very, very warm welcome to all the new subscribers. There's a large group of you that kind of came in over the last 30 days or so, so really appreciate that. Welcome back to all of our current subscribers. Great to have everybody back. Hope you guys like this content. And continue to subscribe. We're still clawing our way up to a minimum level, but you may also see me branching out on some other platforms, so we'll keep everybody aware of that. And yeah, let's kind of get into what we want to talk about today. The firearm I wanted to chat with you guys a little bit about is a Sig P225. And this is a really interesting firearm for a number of reasons. It's got some interesting history, which is actually a little difficult to follow, but I'll do my best to try to explain that. I always want to try to get some history and background out to you guys. It is a 9mm P-Series single stack, which is what kind of makes it rather interesting. And we'll talk a little bit about it, and we'll tell you what I like and dislike. We'll try to give some specs. I know you guys always like the specs, and even a comparison, and also tell you how it shot on the range, and maybe where it fits, for either collection or CCW, self-defense, etc. So again, welcome back to the channel, and let's, as normal, let's get into our deep dive on this Sig P225. So coming off of our intro, like I said, we want to talk a little bit about a Sig P225 today. This is a really interesting firearm. I found this to be interesting for a number of different reasons. And we'll, like I said in the intro, we'll go through all the different things that we want to talk about, the little bit of the background and all the features and how it's shot and where I think it fits, and maybe a comparison as well. But a really neat firearm for a couple of reasons. One, I'm a big P-Series pistol guy from Sig. I've owned 226s and 229s and 224s and 220s and the SP 2022. I really do like this platform from them. Particularly personally for me, the 229 is basically the perfect combination of all that for me in 9mm. And so I'm a big fan of the P-Series, and again, that's why this appealed to me when I saw this in the shop. And it was interesting. You don't see these very often. This is going to be like we just said, a P225, but this is going to be a single stack. And we'll go ahead and clear this to make sure everybody's comfortable with that. But of course, we have a clear and safe firearm. And so yeah, we've got a 9mm single stack, 8-round. And the appeal to me was that it is very much like any of the other P-Series pistols. So you've got manual of arms, you've got familiarity with it, you've got all the things that you like about a Sig P-Series hammer-fired pistol in this smaller package. But it's a package that works much, much better, in my opinion, than the P224. I had one of those. I really wanted to like that pistol. It's blocky, it's heavy, it's kind of like a Glock 26 version of the P-Series, but they chopped down the grip, and it just never worked for me. It's unfortunate, because I really wanted to like that pistol as a double stack, but it didn't come together for me. But when I saw this 225 in the shop, I wasn't overly familiar with it, because you don't see them very often, and part of that is this kind of odd history, and I'll kind of run through that real quick. So this starts off in the 60s as a design concept, and I think it actually comes out of the P220 at that point, but then there's a German contract in the 70s for this style of pistol, and Sig wins it, and this thing becomes the P6. And you'll see P6 in shops. I saw one the other day, ironically. It was pretty weathered, but solid, and it was actually more expensive than this one. I should say this one was hundreds of dollars less than a new one, although they don't make them anymore. And as far as I could tell, it was basically a brand new unfired pistol. When I took it apart, the rails didn't look like they had any wear. It still had some packing grease, all of the indicators that it had never really been fired. But back to the history. So P6 on the German side, And then they bring it to the States, I think in the 80s, as a P225. And then they run it for a decade plus, and I think they finally decide to obsolete it in the early 2000s. Then it comes back in the I think it was 2014, 2015, as the P225A1 Alpha 1 in this configuration with more upgrades, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And I believe the A2 was the 40 cal 357 SIG model, but this is the A1 9mm. And so that's kind of its chronological order. But then again, or I should say, then SIG discontinues it again. It is not on the current website. It seems like it was only in production from 2014. I don't know exactly, 2021, 22, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then it seems to have been obsoleted again. And so I don't know what their rationale was, if there was a contract they were going for or what. But unfortunately, they discontinue it again because it's a really, really neat firearm. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. I know you guys want the specs, so let's kind of get that part sorted. We already talked about that it is a 9mm single stack 8-round pistol, stainless steel nitron slide, traditional SIG coating on the slide, aluminum frame. I've got about a 30-ounce firearm here. Your length is 6.9, maybe just call it 7 inches. Height is 5.2, and then your width is about 1.25. And so that's kind of your dimensional side of this. It has a 3.6-inch barrel, and that's your platform. And so let's kind of get through into our, kind of walk around and deep dive like we always like to. Very nice slide, right? There's all the quality that you would expect in a P series pistol from SIG is here. It feels it, it looks it. It is. You've got some very nice machining on the slide here. Very traditional SIG look here on the slide. Deep serrations on both sides. 3-dot night sight, by the way, was standard on the A1 225-A1. So very, very nice. Very nice sights there. I've always liked the SIG night sights. Stamped Sig Sauer P225 on this side of the slide. Moving down onto the frame, again, we just said we've got an aluminum frame. You've got your takedown here. You've got your slide lock side stop here. And of course, this is a traditional SIG hammer-fired double action, single action pistol with the thumb decocker right here on this side. It is not ambidextrous. If we flip it over, you can see there's no controls on this side at all. So it's not much of an ambi pistol at all. Continuing to work down on the frame. I think maybe the grips, you can't not talk about these grips. They certainly seem to be G10. I don't know if they're actually Piranha grips, but I was not able to determine definitively if these were actually factory grips. I think they were, only because I saw several other offerings of these on other websites, and it seems like this is the grip that is on some of these. So I don't believe it's aftermarket per se that an individual put on these, but I think it actually came from the factory this way. And, I don't know if I'm a complete fan of the pattern, but I'm a complete fan of the grip itself. It feels fantastic. There is a lot of, but not overly aggressive texture here. It's not slippery. It's really, really a nice grip. Very, very happy with the grip itself. So that was a great feature. And honestly, the frame and grip on this pistol, in my opinion, is what makes it. This is the thing that, for me, just makes it work. I think I mentioned the 224. I could not get around that pistol with the chopped off grip and the blockiness of it. But this is a single stack 9mm. But you can see it has this I almost call it a full-length grip. You don't need any finger extension on here, which is also very cool. When you grip the firearm, this full-length grip, and again, I have a small to medium-sized hand, I admit that, but still, we have a full-length grip, which gives you an extremely nice grip and purchase on this firearm. And I think that's kind of one of the shining features of this firearm is how it feels in the hand. Also has a very nice undercut here. You'll notice that, very well done. Serrations up here on the front, kind of a stippling. Nicely done there, actually. What else do we have on this side? It does come standard also with an SRT, the short reset trigger. And I will say this is an extremely short reset trigger. The double action is completely normal, very SIG-like, no surprises there. The single action is very short, good feel. You can hear it, but wow, it's almost harks back to the Smith & Wesson 3rd gens that you hear me talk about on our channel quite a bit. The magazine itself is an all-metal mag, 8-round, kind of this traditional Parkerized finish that Sig uses. Again, 8 rounds, and then kind of this, I don't know about weird, but unique indentation here to the magazine. Very, very easy to pick up a 225-1. That's what they call these mags. Easily able to pick that up visually, and fits extremely well, ejects extremely well, all that kind of good stuff. You actually do have a bit of a beveled magwell, by the way. I did want to point that out. I thought that was a nice touch there. It's a smaller magwell because it's a single stack, but they did do a nice job there with the beveling. So this is a really nice mechanism to get the magazine back into the firearm. No rail on the frame, which is kind of nice. I mean, there's certain guns I want a rail, others I don't have to have a rail, and I think this small single stack 9mm, obviously designed for concealed carry. We talked a little bit about that. You know, is it a target gun? No. Home defense gun, you could probably get to a better, you know, full size, more capacity type of decision. But I think this one for a concealed carry, again, if you like the Sig P series and you're trying to maybe stay with the manual of arms from another P series pistol, I think this is an excellent choice. And again, it's kind of sad that Sig has decided to discontinue these. Traditional mag release here. It does seem a little extended. It's really nice, very, very nice release there. Excellent work there by Sig. If we flip it over on this side, as I stated, we have no controls on this side. And then we've got our traditional Sig Sauer New Hampshire information, serial number, and the barrel is, of course, stamped 9mm-19. What else can I tell you about it? Sig night sights, I think we talked about that. You do have a serrated hammer here, a full hammer. Kind of interesting. I thought maybe one thing they could have done here was gone with a bobbed hammer. I thought that would have been kind of a nice touch on this. Again, it's a backup gun or a concealed carry firearm. I thought a bobbed hammer would have been kind of neat, but it's a traditional hammer for Sig. And if you are interested in kind of what some of the competition would have been in the 90s, well, it would have been one of our nice little Smith 3913s, right? And you've seen this on the channel before. This, of course, is also a clear and safe firearm. And also an 8-round 9mm single stack magazine. And the two pistols are, you know, kind of ironically similar, actually, in terms of stainless steel slide, aluminum frame, nice undercut. This one does have the bob hammer, right? And Smith was doing a real nice job with the bobbed hammer there. Really like that. There is some ambi controls here. Of course, it makes it a little wider with the decocker safety ears on the Smith. I think I've got to give a nod to the sights, to Sig for sure. Not only night sights, but I always like more of a combat sight with the shelf. So definitely got to give the nod there. But again, a very thin frame firearm here with the Smith. So these would have been competing firearms back in the 80s and 90s, the standard P225. This would have been I think you would have been looking at both of these firearms in the case, I think back in the day, maybe trying to make your decision. I'm sure the Sig was much more expensive, and the Smith came with different floor plates. This one actually has a little pinky extension, but I'm quite sure they had the flat floor plate as well. But just a comparison firearm. And they're very similar also. I mean, the weights, the lengths, it's all very, very similar in terms of the comparison there of what would have been going on in the 80s and 90s. So what else can I tell you about it? What do I like and dislike? I think I told you all the things I like about it. There's really nothing on my side to dislike about it. There was nothing odd about it after shooting it or using it. None of the controls, were sticking out too far or were in funny places or nicks or scratches or bites or anything like that. I guess your only potential, of course, in this day and age, is the single stack 8 millimeter. I'm sorry, eight round 9 millimeter magazine. So you've got to be comfortable with an 8+1. But you're probably carrying another magazine. So, what do you have? 16, 17 rounds, probably good enough. Of course, as we all say on the day, though, that it's not. But, we've all got to pick and choose what we're going to carry and why and all that good stuff. But 8 round single stack mag, all metal mag, I think, as I said, very, very high quality as usual from Sig. So I would say that would be your only quote unquote negative. There's nothing, in my opinion, nothing negative about this firearm from its how it works, its design structure, all of that kind of thing. For me, it's an excellent fit in my carry rotation and things that I need the pistol to do. So very happy with it in that regard. And so if you're looking for something like this and you're okay with the single stack and that capacity, I would highly recommend the firearm. It shoots very well. Just a bit of a snap, but that's just because it's a little bit smaller, shorter pistol, but there's enough weight there to help you out. And the grip, like I said, is really the perfect part of this pistol, and it really does allow you to get a great grip and comfortable grip on the gun when you're shooting it. So absolutely no issue whatsoever. I should have, but I did not shoot it side by side with the 3913. I'll do that next time, but I did not shoot them side by side. I think perhaps the Sig might be a little flatter, a little softer, but again, I'll do that. I'll put them side by side. But excellent firearm. Shot all kinds of different ammunition, by the way, 3 or 4 different brands, including hollow points. I think I was putting a 147 HST through these, no problems, not a hiccup, nothing. So very, very good in that regard. So I hope that got all the points out there that I wanted to get. I hope that was good information for you guys. Thanks for coming along again for another video, and we'll see you again very, very soon on the Daily Defender.